The sheriff still got them awarded the state.
Yeah, they're still getting all their. One of them's in protective custody, as I understand it. I mean, he had some trouble in there, and but I mean, again, I'm still waiting on to hear. Last I checked, they were wanting to make a plea deal, but nobody's interested in that. I brought the young woman that they shot that was brave enough to go outside when they were pistol whipping
How's
me.
she doing?
She's still recovering. I mean, it's not easy when you lose part of your lung capacity because they punctured a lung, and she lost her spleen altogether, and all of that was unnecessary. I gave them the keys in the traditional sense of, hey, I'm going to fight you because I didn't want to give up my Jeep.
Right.
And somebody else comes outside. And so I thought it was over. All right, you got the keys. You got what you were.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And then they shot her in the back anyway. And there was no reason for that. It was a lull. They were getting in. I was going in to get my gun. There would have been more carnage had I been able to get it before they took off. But
Wow.
and then they shot at her and missed after she was sitting down after they already shot her. So I mean, it was just it's a crying shame that there's just no point to it. There's just no point to it whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, and you. They also assaulted a 78-year-old man or something before.
67, I think.
67-year-old man before they got you.
So they shot at him, and then they posted video with them and guns before they went to go do it. They
What
went
could
out.
possibly go wrong with that plan?
Yeah. And bragged about that they were going to go do something like this. Then they posted video of them in my Jeep after I'd given them the keys. And quite honestly, I think everything goes slower when everything's, but I think it was more than a minute because there was some time that had transpired. I mean, time enough for me to be able to rip out of my shirt after I got tired of them trying to horse me around by my T-shirt. Time enough that, they shot at me 3 times and missed. And there was some lull.
That's like a Roadrunner cartoon.
I thought I was like the Matrix, maybe, or
when you came, because this happened on a Thursday, and you were on the radio with Michael Miller on Friday.
No,
who was on that with you?
I had my good friend Kevin Kieschnick.
Kevin Kieschnick was it? That's right, yeah. And you were going through the story, and I was like, is he? Did he make this up?
No.
I was like, did this really happen?
I had no sleep either.
It was nuts, yeah.
I went straight with no. They don't give you anesthesia anymore, except for maybe some local when they're putting staples in your head. So they put 9 in. And then they missed a big gash that a friend of mine, when she was washing my hair at the dog groomers, well, I had a lot of hair, I still do. I had a lot of blood, so they missed one. I had to go back and get 4 more staples, and so the staples hurt, man. I'd rather have stitches. I used to complain about stitches. Stitches, they used to numb you up. Well, they either didn't have time or they don't do it anymore because we had to run out and make a field ID. But when I saw our violence unit and our gang unit working together, it really was an impressive operation.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away technology, but you don't have to have a tracker on your vehicle for them to track that vehicle. I'm talking crystal clear photographs, and it was. If I were a car thief, I wouldn't be stealing cars.
We were talking about that earlier. Sheriff was saying that each patrol unit has a license plate reader that'll work while they're driving down the road.
Yep, and that's exactly what they were using. Crystal clear photographs of the morons in my Jeep. And
Well, it sounds like they already posted them on Facebook.
Well, yeah, they helped out with that. I made sure that the investigator had all that. And get this, now, I think it's fortuitous. That's a big word, fancy word for really cool and uniquely timing. But my investigator's name is Justin Wicks. He's got a brother named John Wicks, and I think together, that
The Wicks brothers.
Well, they made a movie.
John Wicks. That's pretty impressive.
So they'll get to trial it, or posting pictures like that. It's kind of their defense attorney's got his work cut out for them.
Well, I got to say this, and a special thanks to all my fans and listeners, because I didn't know I had so many people. When I posted it on Facebook, I had people, women I didn't even know, going, and this is the girl they were talking to. Here's screenshots of everything.
Really?
They could put the timeline together and reassemble everything.
And they did it. And
That's
so
incredible.
I was able to just forward that on to it. Once investigators, the tools that they have in law enforcement now are pretty impressive. And I say this is just a little. Facebook is not your own private domain. You can post whatever you want. So they can look at your messages. I mean, if there's a reason, it doesn't matter. If you're doing illegal deals, whatever else it is, they see all that. That's not
cameras as well.
Yep.
We talked about that last week on the show with the police chief. That they can go out now and do geofencing in an area where something happens and pull all of that
Yes.
that video in.
And you think you delete it? No, well, it can be found too once it's been posted. So that's why people say, I always comment on, well, you're full of friends. I go, just follow me. It doesn't matter because I don't post anything private. I mean, if I'm going to post it on social media, I'm bold enough for everybody to see it. If it's not good
I
enough,
just post on the Moon page, at the Island Moon newspaper page. I have a personal page, but I look at it once a month to see if any of my friends died or if I died.
the rumors of my death have been greatly
Right, you wake up
exaggerated.
every morning and you flex your elbows, and if you don't hit wood, you're good.
Right. Well, it's just one of those things. I use it because I can tell you, for me, a lot of sponsors and stuff I have met through Facebook, and that's.
Yeah.
In the busy world we live in today, social media, it's hard to avoid it if you're going to socialize.
Yeah.
Because I'm at work. I got to invite friends on on the show in order to talk to them. I don't get a chance to see Oggs here except on Thursdays most of the time.
Maybe random things now that we, we're taking the girls out and,
Sure.
and running around with, family events and stuff like that. But other than that, man, it's, aside from work, don't get out too much. It gets crazy.
Well, look, I think there's a curse that's out there that's really real. And I say this, you're going to laugh at me when I say this. If you want to keep a girl, don't ever buy her a Dooney and Burt purse.
Yeah.
Once you buy that or tattoo her name on your body. Those two things.
Well, the second one goes without saying.
You would think.
And if you're going to do that, date a girl with only 3 letters in her name. That way you keep some options open for the next one.
I got one.
You can go from Pat to Patricia.
There's still a price to pay for this. It's the whole topic of why you shouldn't name your kid Jesus. I mean, because that's a tough standard to live up to.
Yeah.
Secondly, I got one. Don't tattoo the name, but I have a caveat. It doesn't. You still pay the big price. If her name can be written in Sanskrit because of the lineage, and it's the same name as the goddess of good luck,
then it's okay.
And then you have it tattooed in a place people can only see if you're completely naked.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know this for a fact, but I do. And so the thing is, it helps because nobody else can read Sanskrit. So that's,
Well,
There's an advantage to that.
I remain tattoo-free so far.
Well, that's good. I could show you some right now, but there's children watching.
Well, speaking of the goddess of fortune, you got the chance to go out and hunt with a double barrel double hammer?
Yes, well, it was
Hammer
it was only because I have a Winchester Model 12 20 gauge from 1927 with a poly choke on it, which is what everybody had when I was a little kid.
Yeah, I still got mine.
Maybe not 1927,
Not that
but yeah, from the 60s at least. This one I picked up for $60. A guy thought it was a 1960s era thing. I look up the serial number and they'll tell you.
Yeah.
So it was working great until it's a little loose because it's been used a little
Right.
bit. And that Model 12 has got a number of unique moving parts. It has a 4-end plug that, well, it got pushed, and then my tube got rotated halfway out. So
I hate it when that happens.
I mean, I didn't have anybody to calm down, so I just said, well, you know what? It's not working right now. It's not ejecting, and it was punching all the way through the primer, which is not a good thing.
Yeah.
So I put it aside. My backup is a 12-gauge Coach gun. Sometime before 1975, because the company that was importing them, it's a Rossi, but before Rossi was the one we know now, the Garcia company. They went out of business in 1975. So sometime before then, it had never been used. Hammers, so double hammers, double triggers. Shot the first bird that flew with it, and I got the rest of my limit with that. And so
My 20 gauge from then is a single shot.
you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. Those single shots are,
To make you a better shot over time.
well,
But
yeah.
if you get into trouble, single shot will get you into trouble, but it won't get you out.
necessarily.
That's true.
Well,
That's true.
Speaking of getting into trouble, no, not getting into trouble. If you've got a gun that you want to build or you're seeking out some expertise, you should reach out to our special guest. Our buddy Bobby Ball is here.
reaching out at him
from
right now.
From Candlestick Precision. Good morning,
Morning,
man.
guys.
I like that. How'd you come up with that name, Candlestick Precision?
We were actually all just sitting around one day, and something came on the TV, and it was something about the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. And one of my friends just reached out, and he's like, I want to be the butcher, and I just shot from the hip. I'm like, you know what? I want to be the candlestick maker. Like, it just sounds like there's so much more you could do with it, and it kind of just came from there.
Okay, see, I had a whole different thing. I thought for sure you were going to tell me because we
Something to
used
do with
shoot the,
jumping over a wick.
I thought you were shooting the wick off, with precision.
We're probably gonna do some ads with that. I figure we can do a lot with it in the marketing side of things, or shooting the candle out, lighting the way for others to follow, all kinds of different different avenues there.
Yeah. So We were talking a little while ago about kind of gun myths and misinformation, and I stopped you mid-sentence, and I was like, man, this would be so fun to talk about on the radio as far as like what people think they know and what really happens, you know?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of it. I was going to lead into that, and I didn't finish the story.
Oh, sorry, go for it, yeah.
No, here's a myth. I say a myth, but it's happened to me 100%. Every time I get a 28 gauge, there's a curse that comes with that, like the name and the purse. So I just acquired a 28 gauge side-by-side. Always wanted one. I had an over and under. The last time when I bought that over and under, before I went out, I got MRSA. Right before I got a chance to shoot it. This one, I acquired a dog, and he chewed up my hat. And
That'd
so,
be those chew marks right there, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it used to go all the way around, you know. But the only reason why I didn't get too upset is that there was a feather on it, and I think that's what he was after. So, or she was after. But I thought we could talk about shotguns because it is dove season. You know, there's this big myth that for some reason with a 410, you have a smaller pattern with the equivalent choke than you do a 12 gauge.
You know, I would not be the expert on that. I haven't done a lot of shotgun shooting lately.
Well, I was going to say, you already know that the pattern size is the same.
The
It's
pattern
just the
size
density
is,
of
is the same. It's usually just the amount of pellets in the shot shell.
Right.
And your choke or length of barrel.
Right,
There's a
yeah,
few other
yeah,
things that go on. That's
obviously,
why it's
yeah.
important to pattern your shotguns.
Right. But all things being equal, and everybody should know this is, I say this and still it's not going to make a difference. Most of it's psychological. If you don't flinch at all, you should be able to hit, all things being equal, same size choke, same length barrel with a 410 as you do a 12 gauge. The difference is the density of that, how many
Sure.
BBs you're putting out
You
there.
know, I mean, you can watch the competition guys, you know, the national competition guys shooting sporting clays, and they're
Yeah.
shooting 410s, and they're hitting just as many clays on the same field as anybody
Right.
that's shooting a 28 or a 16 or,
Now,
or 12.
one thing I will tell you, you do get a more consistent, dense pattern with, let's say, a Perazzi in a 410 versus a Walmart special pump 410 by any manufacturer. It's just how much they put into finishing that choke, and the best chokes that come with any shotgun are the best chokes. The aftermarket chokes, they can be all right, but they're not as good as the ones that were made with that barrel.
And I hear that the ported chokes aren't as reliable as the ported external chokes aren't as reliable pattern-wise as the full just steel all the way out chokes.
Well, they look cool.
I know they look
look-
awesome.
They look
You
way
think-
cooler.
Yeah.
Oh, speed holes, man.
That
It's
adds,
got speed
adds
holes.
style factor for
Right.
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing. You're absolutely right. You know what solves all that problem? Was what they had back in 1927, the poly choke. It's still, I've checked the pattern on that thing. It's a number of fingers that pull in together, and it works really well. I mean, it looks a bit clunky on the end of it if you're not used to it, but I
my
like it.
dad has my grandfather's bolt action 16 gauge with a poly choke on it.
Yeah.
And it's a hilarious gun. It is so fun to shoot, and it's great kind of break it out every once in a while. And, it's like driving a classic car.
Right.
For me, that's the feeling I get.
Well, here's the great thing about it. I had a bolt action 20 gauge Mossberg with a poly choke on it, but it was missing the magazine and the extractor was broken. This was back in 1984. There was, we didn't have the accessibility like we
Yeah,
do now,
well,
where
yeah.
you can go get those things fixed and find replacement parts.
I think my first shotgun was a bolt action 20 gauge.
Yeah.
And at the time everybody was shooting pumps
Yeah.
or over under, and yeah, it was kind of, to me it was like a weird thing, but then now I wish I had it back. It was a cheap gun. It was a Sears Special or a Stevens or something like that. And
But you see, here's the thing. The secret about the Sears, they had sometimes some quality manufacturers making those firearms for them.
Oh, yeah.
My favorite deer rifle, I've got a 30-30, made in 1972. Nobody fired it. I got it in a trade. That's another deal I'll brag about some other point in time. But this thing was made for Western Auto, all right? And it was called Revelation was the brand they made for them, where you could go to hey, I need a new pump for my truck, and at the same time I'm going to buy a rifle.
I used to buy BB guns at Western.
But they had great ones, right? And so now those things used to be where they were worth a little less, but because of the novelty of the fact that you could go to an auto parts store and buy a gun, those things are coming up in value, and I predict they'll be worth more than the straight brand names.
I've got a 1959 Ithaca 20 gauge pump.
Oh, I want it.
That was my mother's, believe it or
My
not.
grandmother had one. She had a 12
Yeah.
gauge, but my grandmother was 5'10".
It's a beautiful gun. I haven't shot it in years. I need to take it out and give it a workout.
I thought you were going to say give it away, and I know the guy to give it to.
No, I'm not going to give it away. I love to shoot it.
The nice thing about that Ithaca, You said Model 37, was it?
I think it is.
Model
yeah.
37 featherweight was, well, they had, I guess, a standard in featherweight. That had a government contract, and so did Winchester. The Model 12, just like the Model 97.
World War II.
Exactly. These things were put into use all the way through Vietnam and Korea because they had a bottom eject.
I was just gonna say that was the bottom eject gun.
Right, and they have what I call the slam fire function. You can hold the trigger down, and every time that
You chamber
bolt
around,
it fires it.
yeah.
You have to pay $200 extra and get a permit for that now.
I've never tried mine. I don't know if it does that or not.
It does.
Does it?
I promise you it does.
Yeah.
We can go in the parking lot after.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Figure it out real quick.
I got a couple hundred shells in the truck because that 20 gauge. I love shooting a 20 gauge. I love shooting a 410 really, but you know, life took all
Well,
those
a
things
pump
away
is
from me.
good for hunting. It's good for hunting. It's good for home protection too.
It is. Well, for home protection,
It
20
sends
or
a
12.
warning.
You want to go with the big gauge, big boys. And if you're going to shoot competition and you want to go full on out, you want a 12 gauge. You can shoot lighter loads, but you get a lot more shot in there.
I have a 12 gauge Browning.
Oh, humpback,
It's a nice one. I don't know.
semi-automatic.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got a little gooseneck to it there, probably.
The A5.
Yeah, the A5.
Yeah.
I have a Remington that I inherited that was made before 1915. I shot some birds with that about a month ago, and it still fight. It has no bluing left on it, but it is
Yeah.
tight as the day it was made. And they didn't even call it a Model 11. It was a pre-Model 11 back then. It was the first production shotgun made in the United States.
Huh.
So cowboys
I've
were
got
carrying
a-
that thing on their
I've got a
horse.
Savage that's from, I think my dad bought after the war, 12 gauge. I don't even know if they still make those.
You know, Dale, I thought I liked you before, but you're looking sexier and sexier the more you
I got
talk.
guns. And I have a couple of 22 long rifles where you put the shells in the stock.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, Browning made some of those as well. That stock feed is pretty slick. And, you know, it doesn't hold up in the world of I love tactical.
Yeah.
But, boy, do they shoot well. In fact, it might be, Marlin's always been a tube fed, but the Marlin Model 60, and I say this, if you're getting a 22 long rifle and you want something that you can shoot the eye out of a hawk at 50 yards with, the Marlin Model 60 out of the box is the most accurate, inexpensive. You used to be able to get them for $160. I don't know what they're going
Really?
for now, but
Yeah, actually, I bought one. Well, it was the 80 version, but it was the 60.
Yeah.
And it was just their upgraded version at the time, and I think it was $130. And you could
Yeah.
pick nails off the top of.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I'll tell you this, everyone I've ever had, I don't own one currently, but they all seem to like that mini mag 22 long rifle ammo.
Well, what do you recommend for if somebody wants a concealed carry weapon? What do you tell them to buy?
I tell them to buy whatever fits comfortably in their hand, whatever they're comfortable
So it's
shooting,
probably
and whatever
380
functions
or a
properly.
9mm.
You know,
maybe?
yeah, that's a debate that everybody could go through. There's all kinds of myths to debunk there. You know, you see mostly 9. I feel like a lot of people will go to a 380 thinking it's going to be lighter recoil and things like that,
Right.
and come to realize that it's usually more snappy than what you
Really?
would get in an equivalent 9mm gun. And
Why?
we've shot them back to back.
It's throwing less weight, isn't it?
Well, that's part of the reason it's less weight, but the way the cartridge expands, you know, on the ignition and the snapback tends to be a little bit more abrupt than what you would get out of a 9mm.
I like a 44 mag snub nose, but
That's like you got to have a big pocket for that, don't you?
I do. The thing is, I take this, and I say this as I was talking to a friend of mine, Scott Lemansky, the other day, Lemansky Law. If you need a defense attorney, there's nobody better. But they're sponsors of the show. He's a firearm aficionado, but the one mistake I think people make is getting too small a pistol, and I agree with you.
I would agree 100%. 100%.
I
You
agree.
can't control the second shot.
Well, it's hard to be accurate with this.
Yeah.
First of all, in most pistols, you have open sights, and the closer you get those two, the less you see the air. My favorite is a Glock Model 34. I'm big. If you're going to carry concealed, you're going to have to untuck your shirt, do something, and so if you can conceal a Kimber 380 or whatever, you can conceal a Glock. Now, the Glock Model 19 is probably more practical for most people, but it's a solid, reliable. Yes,
Is
if
it
you
a
pull.
6-shot?
Well, the
Four-shot?
Glock is 16. You know,
If it's a full size.
right.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't carry that
That's
in
what they
your
call
pocket.
a double stack, which is the side-by-side loading mag instead of a single. They make the little Ruger LCPs. They've got the second edition out they've had that out for a while, and I got one for Lauren because it was something that could be, small and have in our purse just to have.
Yeah.
The most effective concealed carry gun you have is the one that you're going to carry.
Yeah, exactly.
If you have one but it's too uncomfortable, you don't like it,
Right.
whatever, you don't.
Or
you're not.
you leave it
done with
in. You leave it inside the apartment while you're going to get a shirt out of the Jeep.
Yes.
I mean,
Lessons.
Yeah, and on top of that too, like shooting a handgun is a very quick losing skill. You know, if you don't shoot regularly, that skill diminishes drastically compared to, we all grew up shooting rifles and shotguns, and once you learn as a kid, you can stay pretty
Shotgun's
competent
pretty
with it.
forgiving.
Yeah, exactly. But handgun skills go away very fast, and I just feel like there are a lot of people out there that are carrying that just do not go out and practice with their gun enough. They just don't shoot enough.
Or they don't practice the right way.
Correct. Yeah, that as well.
I had some people. I'm friends with Jacob Bynum, who owns Rifles Only down in Kingsville.
Yeah, we do competition out there.
And absolutely, it's the best thing you could ever do is to take one of their handgun courses, because the psychology of most people is they remember the good shots they made on a static silhouette target that's not shooting back at you and you don't have to move.
Yeah.
The reality of a situation like that happening is something that would be called murder in most cases. Because,
Yeah, hold still while I get my pistol out.
Right,
Yeah.
and don't shoot back at me or have a weapon in your hand. The tension that amounts from that, I have seen highly trained people that have emptied their guns at scenarios where I'm from me to you, Dale, and they both miss each other.
Yeah.
Because when you're afraid of getting shot, things change.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
I used to cover the sheriff's department in Bexar County, and the PD up there would carry at that time, before Glocks, they carried 357s.
yeah,
And the sheriff's department, because those were revolvers.
right.
The sheriff's department, they all carried 45s, and they would it had a double action on the hammer. You take it halfway back, click it once, and they would take the leather thong from their holster and put it under the firing pin. Then when they pulled it, they'd hold the trigger down, like you were saying, hold the trigger down and slap it, pow, 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 like that. But you go out to these crime scenes, and they'd fire 9 shots and not hit anything they were aiming at.
Right. Well,
They slung a lot of lead, but they didn't hit anything.
You'll be amazed. Now, again, the intestinal fortitude that it takes to fire at somebody while they're firing at you and not lose it all, that's what gives the people who put themselves in harm's way every day an edge, because they know that this is part of what they got to do in some cases.
Yeah.
But there was Frank Hamer. You may have heard of him before.
Yeah. Texas Ranger.
Right. He was the one that took out Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
And when the Rangers switched from the 45 long Colt, they went to the 45 ACP. Its ballistics are pretty much the same. It uses a shorter cartridge. It's a semi-automatic gun. And when John Browning came up with that, it's the number 2 gun in the world today, that design, that 1911 design. Glock has overtaken that. But he had his safety, the grip safety. They had a piece of leather and lace, and it wrapped around that so that was compressed. He had the safety removed, and it was cocked. And they used to carry holsters that had an exposed place for your finger to go, which is, I still won't go that far.
Yeah.
But
Right.
somebody said, that looks dangerous, and he goes, I hope so.
Yeah. Well, the reason they stopped using it, the sheriff's department in San Antonio stopped using it, is they had 3 or 4 guys would because it was halfway cocked. It had a shell in the breech, and to get it out, you had to breach the gun. Well, they had 2 or 3 guys. They would do it, and it would slip out of their hand, and they'd shoot themselves in the leg and bleed out.
Right.
So they made them stop.
There's a particular holster, by the way, that I don't know if you've ever used that. I think I don't want to say the brand name because I may get it wrong, but there's a holster that has a catch release right where the trigger would be. It's a covered trigger. And I know of 2 people that have shot themselves in the leg in competition because they go to holster the pistol, and they already have pressure there to release it.
Yeah.
And
with the retention clip,
Right.
if it's like a stage 2 or stage 3
right.
holster.
And so I go safari. I don't like that particular. I don't want to shoot myself in the leg. It's not fun. One guy didn't even know he'd done it. Went right through the meat, and then other people had to let him know. It was a full metal jacket 9mm. But back to your issue at hand. There's high performance ammo that's out there that can make a 380 something more substantial, but in my opinion, you want a pistol that gives you enough grip for you to get a hand on it, and that has enough weight to it so that it's not jumping all over. The 10mm is great, but for most people, that's way too much recoil unless you're practicing on a regular basis.
Well, you're talking about shooting yourself in the foot. There was up at the Salty Dog in Port Aransas
Love
some
that
years
place.
ago. Back before the Harvey knocked it down, they had an incident in there, and one of the locals got into it with some little bitty guy. Got into it was a big guy from out of town, and so the local guy says, "Well, if you think you're so tough, let's just step out back." So everybody's watching out the window, and they're out there, and the guy. So they're both outside, and the little local guy says, "You think you're so tough? Watch this!" And he takes his pistol out, shoots himself right through the foot. Well, the other guy takes off running. He's headed for the ferry back to San Antonio to tell everybody there's a bunch of nuts down there. What he didn't know was a guy was a Vietnam vet and had a wooden foot. It got the point across, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, as we're going about this, I know we probably ought to take a bonus promotional moment, but I want to talk to you about deer season because it's right around the corner,
Yeah,
and that
absolutely.
gets into rifles. I always like the idea. There is no perfect cross-trainer firearm that goes hunting. I used to hunt with my Accuracy International 308. I had a custom load. They say don't use frangible bullets, but it'll mess up meat. But everything I hit drop with that
Sure.
175 grain Sierra matching. Dale, thank you so much. Appreciate it. The Island Moon. We have an Island Moon salute, but I got to pull my pants down for that. Hey, fantastic. I like that. You got to show that off on the video. And our entertainment coordinator over there, I missed
Ronnie Narmore.
I missed
Go
our
for
entertainment moment there, but hey, I want to talk to you about hunting and some rifles. I like the 6.5 Creedmoor. There's some new calibers. I'm not one that gets crazy about new calibers, but this is one that I think is going to be around a while. I'll let you tell us about that when we get back.
Sure, yeah.
Candlestick Precision, right?
Yes.
All right, outstanding. And I got my buddy Oggs here. It is the Eric Von Wade Show, broadcasting live from Doc Seafood and Steaks. The official Central Watch Company Luminox time would be 9:30.
There's a place I know where the warm winds blow. It's a party in the Gulf of Mexico. When the weekend comes, your friends all cowl with a dress Dos Equis in a flyer ball. TGIF, TGIP, it don't make no difference. It's the same to me. You're on out of time, and your salt and lime is safe. Thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. We're getting that GA, it's gonna open soon. I know it's true, cause we're ready in the Island Moon. Never have to leave, you're gonna see. Cause nothing good ever happens on TV. We'll meet on Soapback Beach to hang out with the bums. There's no need to wait until the weekend comes. You're on island time, bring your salt and lime and say, thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre. We're sitting out in Bob Hall Pier, drinking a nice cold beer, and wondering how I landed here. Someone pinch me, I'm dreaming. Still sitting on Bob Hall Pier and nursing this lukewarm beer. Just wondering how I landed here. Someone pinch me, I'm dreaming. Just take SPID to the JFK. Set your GPS and you'll know the way. Get on Island Time and get in line and say, thank God it's Padre. Thank God it's Padre.
Yes, thank God it's Padre, and thank God it is 0932 on the Eric Von Wade Show. On this Island Moon Thursday, we're just continuing right on through live here from Doc's Seafood and Steak. Special thanks to them. Come by, enjoy a great sunset, and get some good old food. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Von Wade. Eric Von, not going down, never going down, Wade.
That's right.
And Bobby Ball with Candlestick Precision. Tell us about your shop real quick.
Yeah, so we just recently opened our shop. We are out off of Crosstown in Saratoga, and it's mostly a warehouse. We are not a display case gun shop.
Okay.
We prefer to do, local custom builds, and we're not necessarily like a box dealer or a brand dealer.
If you go in, this is not a knock against anybody at Academy, because I'm sure there's hopefully at least one or two smart people out there. But you go out to a big box store and you're just going to get a next salesperson. If you want something precision built or something built to a certain spec, or say, you need something a little lighter recoil, a custom build because, you've got youth or things that you want to hunt with, you're the guy to talk to about that.
Yeah,
right?
that's right up our alley. Those are the exact types of things we like to do, or help tune up, help really true a scope, help develop loads for hunting, loads for target shooting,
and I'll tell you
custom
this,
ammo development.
One small thing, and again, not a knock against the big box stores. I'm not saying that if there's something I feel like I got an itch for, they may have the lowest price, but you got to check this. You're not always getting what you think. SKU numbers are universal. When you buy a SKU number, you're paying. I looked this up. To get like 5 of these things, it's absurd. I mean, but this number then becomes universal across the globe. So if you compare, and I say this with knives, I won't buy a buck knife from anybody but a buck knife dealer, because the SKU is different. They're not tempering the steel the same. It's not that hammer a 16 penny nail through the D2 steel. Guns are the same way. If the SKU number is different, they found a way to cut back some costs, and you're not comparing apples to apples. So that's why I'd rather go to somebody who's got a privately owned place. I'd rather spend a little bit more money and be satisfied the first time and have something that shoots out of the box accurate.
Sure, yeah. Well, and one of the things that you see that I think a lot of people don't know as well is when you're going out to buy a new deer rifle or something, and it comes from, we'll just say Remington or somebody like that. When they're cutting the chambers with the chamber reamers and stuff at the factory, and they're machining the actions, those chamber reamers only last for, say, 1,000 barrels, and they'll replace the reamer, but the first 200 barrels are going to their premier manufacturers, and then the last 500
that makes sense.
Go to the box
Wow.
stores.
And
so just because you're buying the same equivalent gun at say, Academy, and again, no offense to Academy, or a specific premier dealer,
Dick's or whomever.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They're not necessarily all equal.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. Every now and then I think one might slip through, because
They do.
I had a guy, Jacob Godfredson, and he was so impressed by this. I can't afford to go buy 10 rifles of the exact same kind every time. But because one year he had a brother-in-law that bought a 300 Win Mag Winchester, right, off the box. This thing was so accurate, he took it straight stock. Everybody laughed at him until he came in number 2 in the 1,000-yard World Championships.
Wow.
It was just one of those. Now, you couldn't get him to part with that.
Oh, yeah.
Now, he's passed on. I don't know what's happened to it, but that 300 Win Mag was notorious. This guy also, he was an incredible shot. He was a former Green Beret. He did clandestine stuff during Vietnam. I mean, there's one picture of him. He looked really cool. This guy lived on cigarettes and coffee. He could compete in the 24-hour competitions. I mean, Jacob Bynum knows Jacob Godfredson very well. But I mean, this guy had everything he had was extraordinarily accurate. So if he wanted to go buy something like that, he'd buy 10 rifles, shoot them all, whichever one was the most accurate, keep that one, sell the rest. And but I would much rather have somebody who knows what they're doing. And I'm so glad that you you compete out there at Rifles Only, because some of the things I've seen when I used to compete there, anybody can make a chamber really tight, and that adds a lot to accuracy. But will that chamber still fire when you've got dew, moisture? I've seen people have where they couldn't extract a shell because we had moisture and dew in the morning. I mean,
sure, yeah. Well, and there's something to be said for that. It varies a lot too, especially between people that are loading their own custom ammunition specifically for that chamber, and people shooting factory ammunition. Because a lot of times, if you have a chamber custom reamed, they're already basing it on the brand of brass you're going to use and the bullet you're going to fire for your free bore adjustment and stuff. And I've seen a lot of factory off-the-shelf box guns where the chambers are super short, and even the factory ammunition provided from the same company is a tight bolt close, and it's already pushing the bullets into the rifling.
Yeah.
From the store. So
And all these little nuances make a difference in your accuracy. I am an accuracy snob. To put it in perspective, though, I like something that'll shoot half minute or better.
Sure.
5 shots, not
Yep.
3, 5.
always 5.
Always 5
Always
because
5.
3 shots, I mean,
Statistically, it's not a big enough group to
Correct.
give you a good idea of what you're looking
correct, and consistently. And I like to shoot 5-shot groups over time just to
Yep.
ensure that's what my average is. In Vietnam, when we reinstituted, and I talked to the man who taught Carlos Hathcock how to shoot, and when they instituted a sniper program, because we ditched it by Vietnam, their average group with Winchester Model 70s was 2.5 inches at
Yeah.
100 yards. So Carlos Hathcock, if you've ever heard him, he's the most
yeah.
renowned shooter. He was a competition shooter before he became a sniper, and afterward he still did competition. Great guy all the way around. Unfortunately, he died from complications because I think it was a traffic accident. He got burned, and he was severely burned, so bad that he couldn't even get in position to shoot afterward. But this guy did amazing things. Every movie you see where there's that bullet that goes through the scope and hits the sniper in the eye, that
Yeah.
was because of a real incident that Carlos Hathcock
I
did.
think I did a book report on Carlos Hathcock when I was in like the 6th
Yeah.
grade.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
His nickname
Yeah, I'm
was-
very familiar.
Right. His nickname was White Feather. Now, by the way, with today's scopes, you probably would never be able to duplicate that shot. It was through a Chi-Com scope on an SKS sniper variant that was very thin glass. You had a fixed 4 power. I've had one of those scopes before. There's not a lot of resistance. There's so much glass and so much. So you get a Vortex scope. I'm not saying you wouldn't get hurt, but you're not going to have that straight shot through the eye socket that was part of his fame. He did that at approximately 200 yards. It was inside of a canyon in Vietnam, and it was jungle to jungle, and they were chasing each other around trying to get in position when he made that shot. He just saw that glint, was
Yeah.
fast enough to realize what that probably was, and fired at the glint, and he hit it. And that's with a 2.5-inch group at 100 yards. So you double that, so now you're at 200 yards. So what are you looking at? A 4-inch group possibly?
Yeah, well, and I think back then they were all, like, the maximum scope power was 12.
Right.
That was the most magnification they were using in any of their
What's
precision sniper scopes.
the general kind of average now that people are using for deer
24?
hunting?
Well, yeah, so, for deer hunting and things like that, I think it depends, but you see a lot of 5 to 25 or 4 to 16.
I've got a
this
9 to 16 on a 300 blackout. That's been my go-to just
Yeah.
a deer. I know people say, "Oh, no 300 for deer," but I'm shooting at
Why
such
not?
close range it doesn't matter
But that's what I
because
said.
you've got a lot more drop at further distances. And the
Well,
place
try
that
to
I'm-
get one
the-
in
yeah.
Texas.
the place that I'm hunting is all just close, and I like to try and be kind of right in there with the animals and know exactly what shot I'm taking. It's great to have a 400 yard or 500 yard gun, but I want to have that ethical shot, and I want to
absolutely.
hunt. I don't want to just go sit in a box and then just wait on something to walk out, and it's
Right.
like, yeah, I'm wearing a Bermuda shirt and sandals,
Well-
and a blind. It's like, come on.
I mean, that's a cool look, though. Here's the thing, Hawaii Dave. The thing is that I think a 500-yard shot is ethical for me, okay? But try finding one. I've thrown
Yeah.
rocks at deer to make them run away, and I can't get them to be about 420 yards or so. I mean, I have a CMMG Mutant, okay? And that when they first came out, a lot of people didn't like them. I'm going to take credit for solving the problem because I'm the only one I knew of that said it. I sent it back to the factory 3 times because it was not ejecting shells appropriately. And I kept thinking the extractors broke. Well, everything else they did was a dedicated, specific size receiver for the 7.62 by 39, the AK round. It takes the AK mags, which is fantastic. I mean, all that, it solves so many problems. I got the upgraded compensator trigger, which I definitely encourage people to do because you're going to end up putting that stuff on it anyway. I can compete in competition with guys that are shooting 5.56, but but it would have these issues. And the guy said, well, you're not holding into your shoulder strong enough. And I'm like, I don't know where you're from. But but all of that is for people who are buying junk. I ought to be able to fire this thing over my head, under my,
Yeah.
And so I finally said, take out the spring and put a 308 spring that's in there. Solve the problem. Never had a problem again. I think they had a 223 extractor spring somewhere involved in that, but nobody else solved the problem.
And there are ways to tune different guns depending on what loads you're shooting,
Absolutely.
especially with
Yeah.
AR platforms. So, you know, hydraulic buffer springs, different weights and
Sure,
stuff.
yeah.
And that's what you
Yeah,
that's what you do.
that's kind of our bread and butter when we're dealing with gas guns.
Yeah.
Almost all of our builds, we prefer to run adjustable gas blocks, adjustable weight buffers, and so when we're doing a build for a customer, we're tuning it.
For battle, what's more reliable, recoil or gas?
Well, so always having a heavier buffer is going to help in a battle environment because it's going to send the cases into battery and it's going to eject. So it's less finicky, and you can dial that in with buffer or gas. But generally speaking, if you're going to dial it in with gas, you want to start with a heavy buffer, just for the added reliability and the cycling. That being said, there's a balancing act, but if you're adjusting both, there's a balancing act between the two. And again, I've seen customers come in with rifles where they're running a rifle length spring for their buffer tube in a carbine buffer tube, and they're having ejection problems because there's so much spring pressure.
Right.
That the BCG is
Right.
under a lot of extra load.
Right.
And you run into all kinds of things like that.
You know, for hunting, I have always liked the bolt action rifle or a lever action. I mean,
Sure.
if I have a lever action, I want it to be my 30-30. I'm kind of sentimentally attached. This one rifle with Lever Evolution ammo kind of revolutionized the
yes.
accuracy
Yep.
on life.
Yep.
Every rifle I've had, I've been fortunate, likes the heavier bullet. So 160 grain Lever Evolution ammo, I literally can make 5 shots, open sights at 100 yards in an inch. And so with that, wherever my pin is, adding a peep sight also helps a lot. If you're shooting a lever action with buckhorn sights, it's great for on horseback or four-wheeler or whatever, and if you're shooting at distances of 10 yards or closer. But precision shooting, light changes it makes, for me anyway, and my eyes are pretty good at distance, it makes point of impact change a lot.
Yes.
You put a peep sight on there, you're losing some light in the morning and the evening, but man, wherever that pin is, that's where that bullet goes.
Yeah.
And so I love it. But I need to get back into a bolt action. I had a 6.5 Creedmoor that I built up. It had an 8.26 contour barrel, which is a little heavier. I mean, it's a slight contour. It's not straight because a straight contour gets heavy. I mean,
it
I
does.
like heavy, but that's just really
There's a
heavy.
place for it,
Right.
but probably not carrying around the woods.
Yeah.
Right. And I had who's the people that make actions for Weatherby? Dang it, they've been doing it forever. It's an odd name. It's not Seiko, but they're solid. Okay, this rifle I thought was the best deal. You can still get these rifles complete. I just can't think of who sells them now. Anyway, but I had a Vortex scope on it, and this thing with 140 grain American Eagle match was just. And if I can find now, because I don't have the time to reload like I used to
Yeah.
and all the rest of it, if I can find factory loaded ammo, because I know it's going to be sealed, it's going to be exact. That thing would shoot less than half an inch, 5 shots at 100 yards. I just never got a chance to kill anything with it. And it's driving me nuts because I think that cartridge is a great whitetail cartridge. I mean,
6.5 Creedmoor is a great universal cartridge. You know, a lot of people like to compare it to the replacement for the 308 because it's a little more efficient, it's a little faster, a little less drop. You can start a whole debate just like you can with the 9mm and the 40 caliber.
Right.
We don't have to go there, but yeah, I mean, 6.5 Creedmoor and it's one of the most readily available cartridges out there now,
Right.
Well, that's-
compared to when it started.
Yeah, that's another thing is you're seeing more 300 blackouts and types of 300 blackout rounds, and now you're seeing 8.6 blackout, which has like a crazy twist rate on a very heavy bullet.
We did a customer build 8.6 blackout a couple months back, and it's a 3 twist.
yeah.
A 3 twist barrel, yep. So
it's not.
So
I mean,
about
it's not
3 times
what's
faster twist rate than
What's the normal effective range on that?
on an 8.6 blackout.
Yeah.
You know, I think because it's designed mostly to be subsonic, they're kind of looking at the 200 yard range.
Yeah.
But when you're sending a 330 grain bullet at 200 yards,
Yeah.
it's coming with authority.
I've got my I built a 458
Yeah, your
SOCOM,
SOCOM,
and it's a great
those are-
gun.
those are
If you've
bad
ever
to find.
seen the shell, it looks like a lipstick with in the case.
Yeah.
That's what each shell is. It's an AR platform that instead of firing 30 rounds in a standard PMag, it fires 10.
Right.
You know, and I had to wallow out the exit port on the upper so it could get the shells out.
Right.
And I built it as a pig gun.
Right. Well,
And-
I like, you know what I call those? I love that. I always wanted one of those. Either that or the Beowulf, 450 Beowulf.
Yeah.
I call those the dairy farmer's pinky finger. Have you ever seen a dairy?
Yep.
These guys got hands like baseball gloves, from milking all day long. And so, but man, I mean, I like heavy bullets because lob doesn't bother me. This flat shooting thing. I mean, as an example, my grandfather had a Model 70 Winchester Pre-64 264 Win Mag.
Sure.
Supposed to be barrel burners. He shot that thing his whole life, and it would still, with Winchester, 140 grain, would shoot an inch or better at 100 yards, 5 shots. And so for that, now after that, it got kind of hot. It might open up. You got to let that barrel cool down. But I had a 6.5 by 55 Swede. Okay, shoots the same exact bullet. The drop difference at 400 yards was 4 inches, and I'm like, you think, 4 inches for some guys that may be a lot. For me, that's not that much. I mean, and so 4 inches is really not that big a deal. I mean, you're still in the kill zone if you're in the kill zone if you're hunting.
Yeah, and that brings up another valid point is getting to know your rifle and whatever ammunition you're shooting enough to understand those things.
That makes a huge difference.
You see a lot of people, hunting season's right around the corner, and they'll go out and shoot 10 or 15 rounds to make sure it's still zeroed in, but they don't know the ballistics, or they're reading the side. Never read, if anybody's listening to this, never read the side of the box to guess what you're dropping and the speed is, because that's not a real thing.
No, that's a specific rifle, a specific barrel length, and it's usually the most commonly chambered ever. So.
And in the last several years, with a lot of these newer cartridges that came out, they're posting the wrong speeds on the box because they didn't live up to the hype, and that has turned into a lot of issues. Like 7 PRC was one of the ones that they claimed really high velocity on, and then everybody got them, and they were about 300 feet per second slower.
Well, and an example of this too, and I say this goes way back. So it was 1920. Was it 1922 when they came out with 250-3000, and it was the first factory-loaded cartridge that was supposed to reach 3,000 feet per second. Yeah. All right. Now I had a 1924 Savage lever action in they call it 250 Savage now.
Yeah.
They still chamber new rifles in 250 Savage. If anybody wants, I'll trade you some. I got 5 boxes of premium Federal ammo. And no rifle, but it was a awesome Savage, and you want the brass counter if you get a Savage, by the way, if you can find them. And this thing, I started researching the history on it. Well, right after it came out, they found out that they were off. Now I'm thinking they don't have the laser, measurements of the. I don't know how they measured the speed of that at all, quite honestly, back in that time, but they did. They found out it was off, so that's why you have I think it was a 130 grain bullet. They dropped it down to 127 grain bullet so that it would match the advertised 3,000 feet per second ballistics. But everywhere you got, like 7mm Mauser, they still Winchester still, and it's a great cartridge too. But when you look at the ballistics, they're measuring that. Sometimes Winchester has switched over, but used to it was the most commonly chambered cartridge. Well, the Spanish, there was bazillions of them. That was the first gun I ever bought. Mm-hmm. That's not going to be the same as your Remington if you get a 7mm Mauser. And so you look at those ballistics, you can't go by that. You got to shoot it. People will buy the scopes with the bullet drop.
That's another good one. The bullet drop compensators. That's designed for one weight bullet at one speed through one barrel length, and they'll get you in the ballpark.
Right.
But it's the same thing, and people start using that stuff, and I think that's one of those things where a lot of people don't fully understand how to use their optics properly as well.
Right. That's another thing.
Yeah.
It's important to have a gun that functions well and is purpose-built, purpose-driven, but also understanding your optic can completely change your style of shooting. This is the Eric Von Wade Show. It is 9:51.
Let me talk to you about a new sponsor we got real quick. And when we come back, I wanted to talk to you about this. Those scopes can be very useful. I used to shoot an H2, a Horus.
Horus reticle.
That was based on a World War I ballistic, and it looks like a Christmas tree in there, right? Yep. It didn't look busy to me because I looked through it enough. But to other people, they couldn't stand it. They've much more simplified it, which is great because it fits with a 6.5 Creedmoor. You lose, at 1,000 yards, I've got, as an example, I had 13 and some odd minutes of elevation with my 308. I've got 7.8 with the 6.5 Creedmoor. And the closer you get, the less it is. Windage, it'll spoil you, right? I still think you should learn to shoot on a 308. But those things can be very handy when you have shot at those distances and you can mark down, okay, I need to be at this intersection for this distance. But it's not automatic just because you're shooting that gun.
Right, and also there's ballistic calculators out there that if you have just a Vortex, any Vortex scope, and you can download a lot of these ballistic calculators for free. It will have their reticle, and if you put your bullet speed and your gun information in it, it will tell you exactly what the adjustments are for the different yardages.
And it'll get you close, but I still say every barrel, every rifle slightly different.
Every barrel is different. Barrels speed up. You know, a new barrel is generally always slower than a barrel that's broken, and some take 20 rounds and some take 100.
And there's barrel burnout too. I didn't know what was wrong one time. I would shoot 2 shots that were just in the same hole, and then it would throw one. I thought it was like 3/4 of an inch out. Still good enough for hunting, but in competition, this is not doing it for me at 100 yards. After a 308 barrel, you can only put about 30,000 rounds through it, and then you got to get another one.
Sure.
So it was time to re-barrel. I put a new barrel on it, but I was a much better shot because I got all my basics down. I kept drilling myself trying to, and so it was a good thing. But now I know 30,000 rounds, get a new barrel, and these are things that if you keep track of what you shoot, it makes you more purposeful. I think what you're doing.
Absolutely.
But I got a brand new Inspirational Pool Designs Unlimited. I'm telling you, if you're looking for a pool, if you're looking for a hot tub, if you need any kind of concrete work done, there's nobody better because so many people will throw a pool in your backyard, spray some concrete, and walk away. Is it going to crack? Is it going to be efficient? Is it going to cost you money? There's a way to have a pool, even under the conditions we have today, and not spend a ton of extra money on water. Not only that, but one of the biggest things people don't think about is safety. If you've got small kids, if you plan on having kids over, and if you've got a pool, you're going to want that. You want to make sure that you can keep that pool safe. Number one issue with small kids is falling into a pool because somebody didn't design it right where they can keep the safety there. You can get all of that, the aesthetics, the looks, and have a quality built pool that adds to your value of your home or your property, commercial or residential. From Corpus Christi to Killeen, I'm telling you, they do a fantastic job, and I've worked with them, so I know they use the best concrete. They use the best in rebar. They use the best designs, and you've got 30 years of experience to make a big difference. I'm telling you, you want to talk to Gilbert, Inspirational Pool Designs Unlimited, where it always helps you to let them know you heard about it from Eric, and you can find them on Facebook.
Outstanding. Welcome to the Eric Von Wade Show on KUKA Driscoll, Texas, 105.9 and 103.3. We are live for a special show from Doc's Seafood and Steaks, featuring our special guest, Bobby Ball from Candlestick Precision. You're out Saratoga and Crosstown area,
Yes,
right?
yep.
Can people find you online?
Yes, they can. We do have a website. Our contact information, our address, the map, and everything is on the website. It's still in progress, so bear with me. And we do have social media pages. We haven't started them yet.
Well, you've been in guns and everything for a while, but you recently got all your ATF paperwork, the official walkthrough, and all that. So yes, so it's not like this is a garage that someone's doing this privately.
No, not at
in.
all. Not at all. We're well set up, and we have a full Cerakoting facility as well. So
that's
we're
cool.
Yeah, we're Cerakoting firearms and other objects too.
I just
You
got
a
aroused.
knife or-
I've got things running through my mind of
Yeah.
what all I need Cerakoted.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have my 1927 Model 12. Somebody Parkerized it at one point in time.
Yep.
So there's no collectible value there, but it might look nice to have it freshened up and make it less rust resistant. Can you Cerakote something?
Absolutely, we can.
All right, because it's a nice kind of an olive drab. I got pictures of it.
We can do olive drab. We can do basically any color, and on our website you can go on. We have a link to the different color options that are factory offered from Cerakote.
Okay.
But then we can do a custom blend too if it's something different. We can do a pattern if you want. We can do multiple.
There's so many choices.
Yeah, there are. The sky's the limit.
Part of the problem I have is I say this. A buddy of mine, Rocky Storm, he worked for Circle 8 Crane, big time hunter. He said, half the fun at least is in wanting it. So
sure,
you don't have to rush in to get it right away. But I mean, when it comes to Cerakoting all the patterns, I always wanted to have like my Mutant as an example. I've always wanted to have like my magazines, like a tan, and the rest of it an olive drab, and then you leave the black stock accessories on there. Now you've got your basic multicam, and then you can always spray paint over the. I'm not opposed to when it comes to battle rifles or my hardcore hunting rifles, my shotguns. I like to leave the engraving and the golden lay to show. But with that, I'm not opposed to spray painting it, and then if it scratches off, I'll just spray paint on top of it. It keeps getting more camo.
Yep.
If you get a rifle that you're too concerned about that, you ought to do what happened to a buddy of mine one time. He was hunting, and I think he forgot that it was not hunting season. And a game warden was driving by, and there was a pea gravel roof. So his buddy tossed it up there, and you could hear the scrunch. I think it was a glossy finished Ruger M77. This is about 1987.
Yeah.
And he pulled it down, and that thing was all. I go, the great thing about it now, you don't have to worry about scratching it.
Yeah.
It's broke in now,
You're there.
It's
Nothing's cool till you wear the new off, right?
Well, that's why I like to buy old guns, like this 28 gauge side by side. Somebody, I can tell you what happened. They carried it in a truck with nothing between it and something else, and it just rubbed and vibrated. I had a similar
like holster wear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly. But it gives it character, and I like to buy Goldfinger type guns. Like I'll dress in simple colors, but I may have a fully gold-plated, fully engraved, whatever, and that's my gaudy Elvis, right?
Sure.
And I'll wear it, and it'll get holster wear on it, and you know what? It'll make it worth more to whoever has it after me because it was used and not just sat there in a box. And I always like to wonder about the stories behind that firearm,
Sure, absolutely. And especially down here, when I relocated back down here, and I brought all my firearms with me, even out here on the island, sitting in my closet, in my climate-controlled apartment, in a padded gun case, it would still get. I would open it, and there would be pieces covered in rust, and I was just like, "Holy cow! It's a different ball game down here." And so that's really where Cerakote shines because it's such a corrosive environment like this. It's
Well, let me tell you, I got a tip for you, and this absolutely works. Take it to the bank. There's nothing better. You can do it with other stuff, but okay, so the reason why I got into selling AMSOIL at one point in time is because they came out with a gun oil. I did a 14-mile competition out there through the obstacles at Rifles Only. I mean, and I had a brand new Daniel Defense V11. And I mean, I weighed 220 pounds. I was bulking up for a competition, did no cardio. So it took me 4 hours to finish. But I got so tired, I'm throwing that rifle over obstacles. I mean, you carry
Oh, yeah.
And
guns get beat up out there.
They do.
Don't take your pretty gun out there.
Yeah.
Get ready to rumble.
unless you're ready to
Yeah,
use it.
yeah.
It never failed to cycle or function. And I took it a step up. I use AMSOIL motor oil. You get their signature series, 1 quart of it, right? And you put that, it does bond to the steel, and like all these other things, it's fully synthetic. It's 100% synthetic. Full synthetic can still have an 20% petroleum base, and it's the heat that starts to break that stuff down. When you get 100% synthetic stuff, now short of Cerakoting it, of
Sure.
course, but that stuff, it sticks and it works. And
So, and this is a great example. In March, I believe it was March, I did RO for the Mile High Brawl out there.
Awesome.
And it was cold. It was really cold and rainy, and all the guys that were running like a heavier oil
Right.
in their precision bolt guns were jamming up and gumming up, and everybody was having cycling and feeding issues because it was so cold. The heavyweight oil that they had put on their
Right.
guns
So viscous. It's
the viscosity will get you. That's-
We would watch 150 shooters come through.
Right. And I'll just say this. That's the one thing, this is an unsolicited pitch for the gun oil. It comes in a smaller, bottle or whatnot. The engine oil will pretty much do the same thing too, but you have a viscosity and lubricity range of heat from 400 degrees Fahrenheit to 75 degrees below zero. You're not going to get those delayed fires, which
Sure.
are also dangerous if you get that in your firing pan. It gets too cold, that stuff will the viscosity gets so thick that's where people have accidentally shot themselves and everything else. It is the best stuff.
Well, gentlemen, we are out of time. It's been a great. We're going to have you back on
Yeah,
and just
for
keep,
sure.
Yeah, I'd
keep
love to.
this
Love to, absolutely.
conversation going.
Candlestick Precision. I got to go talk to you about Cerakoting and a 6.5 Creedmoor.
Yeah, there's work to be done. Also, we're going to throw this back over to Ed Aconius. Want to throw out a quick happy date-iversary. 13 years ago, my wife and I went on a blind date that ended pretty well. So.
Oh my God!
Nice,
Yeah.
I
congratulations.
can't believe you just did the date anniversary. You're married, right?
Yes, yeah, it'll be 10 years.
I'm
this
proud
November.
of you for being such a
So
sensitive
you guys
man.
lived
'cause
together.
that-
You lived together for 3 years.
I remembered it. Yeah, that's it. So,
it takes a brave
she
man.
kept me around that long before we got married. Yeah.
You know what? You're winning major points. Let it be a lesson to everybody else. There's no shame in it. If she's happy, you're happy.
Yes, we'll have Lauren on the show before too long. And,
I've been
and
waiting.
you guys haven't been. She used to be his co-host. So.
Oh, nice.
Excellent. All right. Well, we are going to throw this on back to Ed Aconius here on KUKA Driscoll, Texas, Corpus Christi's Retro Country 105.9 and 103.3.
Mushroom got a truth out.